In this video, I'm going to talk about security group and its linkages with Power Platform team. Now, security group, it's a very old concept. So this concept has come in from Active Directory. So when we had an on-premises Active Directory, we had something called as a user object, and we have a group object. Now, the group object was basically a security group object. So security groups basically allow you to manage permission at scale for large set of user group. Now, so take for example, if you have an organization and if you have an app, and if you want to share that app with the people, then what you do is like you pick an app and then you share permission with individual users. Now, think about it, like if your organization has more than 10,000 users, then how will you manage that? You cannot go ahead and do that permission management individually. So you need to have some sort of a group created. Now, the group can be created based on your organization's hierarchy or department or business unit or area. So I can create a group called as North America, or I can create a group called as HR or sales or Asia Pacific or Australia or Sydney or Brisbane, Melbourne. So depending on the logical grouping of different set of users, I can create group, and then for that group I can assign permissions. Now, if you have a model driven app, and if you want to share that model driven app with a different set of group, then how can you achieve that in Power Platform? So there are multiple ways. One is you can use a team within Power Platform and then assign a security role to it, and depending on the security role, the app will get permissions assigned. Or you can link Microsoft 365 group to a team within Power Platform, and then you can assign the permission. Or you can create a security group and then link that security group with a Power Platform team, and then you can assign the permissions. Now, s- email can also be configured for a security group. So unlike Microsoft 365 group, security group is a bit different. It does the same purpose, but then security group was like an old Active Directory concept, and it has been brought in the application. So email can also be configured for security group, and the security group which is email configured is called as mail enabled security group. You can send an email to that security group. Azure AD roles can also be assigned to security group if the group is created using Azure Active Directory or Entra ID. Uh, Security groups can be used in SharePoint, Exchange, MDM, Windows. Security groups can be created in Azure Portal and Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So these are like a couple of places through which you can create, but there are other places as well through which you can create a security group. Now, in Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you have two options to create a security group. You can either create a just a security group, or you can create a mail enabled security group. And in portal.azure.com, you can go into groups and then you select group type of security, and then you can select the group uh, name and group description, and then other items like owners and members. Now, security group linking with Power Platform. So, how things works with Power Platform is you have something in you need to specify the team name and the team description. You specify the business unit on under which this team will be based on, and then you specify what type of security group you want to link. Either you can link a security group, or you can link a Microsoft 365 group, and then based on your selection, all the security group within your tenant will be listed, and then you can pick and choose one security group out of it. Once you do that, basically it is a linkage. So you're linking the security group which has already been created in your Entra ID, and you're creating a new team out of it just to assign permissions. Now, why permissions? Because you need to share some resources within Power Platform, like a model driven app or a Canvas app, and because of that you will be doing that. So let's jump into the demo. So over here, I'll show you Microsoft Azure. So if you navigate to portal.azure.com, go to Microsoft Enter ID, and then from here, groups, you can create a security group. So what you need to do, new group, click on new group, and then it will ask you what type of group. I want a security group. I can select Microsoft 365 group as well for to create Microsoft 365 group. But for the intent of this demo is to create a security group. So I can create a security group over here. So let's create a security group called as, say, Paris. and I'll just name it as Paris Sec Group. Okay, so Paris Security Group. I can specify the description of this group. I can select whether intra roles can be assigned to this group or not, yes or no. I'll just select yes, and the owner selection from here, I'll just type in my name, Girish, select, and I'm the owner of this particular group. I can add members here as well directly, but then I'll not do that. And then it says creating a group to which Microsoft Entra roles can be assigned is a setting that cannot be changed later. Are you sure you want to add? I'll say okay, yes, because you cannot make that change setting disappear post creation. Okay, so you cannot edit that setting, and after a while you should be able to see the Paris security group created, and it will have its own object ID. So I've created a security group named as Paris security group. Similarly, if you go to Microsoft 365 Admin Center, here under Teams and Group, Active Teams and Group, you can create something called as a security group. So you go to here, security group, and the one which we just created will appear over here. So it's named as Paris Security Group. So I can create a security group from here as well. So I can call it as Nice Security Group. Put the description, click on next. Again, it will ask for same thing. Azure AD roles can be assigned to this group. I'll say nothing about it. Just create group, and then a new security group has been created called as niche security group. Right. If I go here and then I'll just type in niche, I will see that security group created. So we have created a couple of security groups. Now there are in SharePoint side. If you create a SharePoint side, it will create a Microsoft 365 group in the backend. So security group, two places you can create: portal.azure.com and Microsoft 365 admin center. uh, if you create a SharePoint site, it will not create security group. If you create a Teams, it will not create security group in the planner. So if you create a, say, take for example a new plan, okay, so I'll just create a new plan and I'll call it as plan X, and it says add to existing group. Okay, so if I just type in Paris, this will not appear. Or let me again refresh back and show it to you. Now what you can do in planner, you can create a plan and you can assign it to a group. Now the group which you assign, okay, so let me again name this plan as plan X, and here you will see all the Microsoft 365 group. If I type in Paris, it will not appear. Okay, so you cannot use that. Now, however, in SharePoint site, so any SharePoint site which you have created, you can assign the security group for permission management, right? So this is how you can assign those permission. However, the topic which we are covering over here is to create a team within Power Platform Admin Center and then link it with a security group. Now, why would you do that? Because you have a lot of Canvas app, model driven app you want to share it with, and then you need to use that teams. Now, how do you do that? Go into the environment, go to Power Platform Admin Center, go into your environment. I'll pick up this environment and then I'll click on settings. And then the moment I click on settings, now under users permissions, I go to teams. So here in teams, I'll click on create team. So I'll name this team as say France team. I call it just France team. Now, business unit, I'll select business unit. I'll put some description. Now, remember here we are not creating a new team, okay, or we are creating a new team, but then this is just like a linking of security group to a team, okay. So if I pick an administrator over here, select Girish, and team type here, I need to select Microsoft Entra ID security group. So if you see over here, it says Microsoft. Team type can be an access, owner, enter ID, group team, and I'll select Microsoft Enter ID security group. Now, the moment I do that, another control pops up, group name, and then from here, I can type in the security group which I have created. So I've just created Paris security group or Nice security group, and I can select whatever I want. Okay, so let me select Paris, and membership type can be members and guest, members, owner, guest, etc. Okay, so I'll just click on next. Now the moment you click on next, it will then ask you to assign a security role within Power Platform, and then you pick up any security role. So for me, I have my application like say uh, called as hospital management system, and then I have hospital max role or a hospital role. Okay, the moment I do that, I'll just click on save, and then what we have done, we have created a team linked to a security group which is part of Microsoft Entra ID, and then assign a security role. So any user or any application which has that permission set base, I will be able to access the application. So general thing, what user will do, user will go into any Canvas app or model driven app. So I've listed a lot of Canvas app and model driven app over here. I'll come here, I'll just click on share. Now what you would expect that there will be a group over here, right? So if I click on people over here, I will not be able to find that group. Okay, so I'll create a group called as Paris security group. So as you see over here, I if I type in Paris, I see Paris security group. Okay. Now, this is for a model driven app. Okay. Now, if I again share, I'll click on share. I can just type in other groups which I have. Okay. So if I let me show you all the group which I have here listed. So I have whole bunch of team over here: Adelaide Bus Project, Dev SharePoint, Contoso team. So let me search for Finland. Okay, so Finland is a Microsoft 365 group. Now, if I come over here and I'll just say share, say this application, say Sweden or Finland, I will be able to see that group over here, right? Now, this is for a model driven app. Now, what about a Canvas app? So if I go to Canvas app, I'll click on share, and then here it says enter a name, email address, or everyone. Now, from a Canvas app perspective, you can just type in the username. Okay, you cannot type in. So if I just type in Paris security group, or if I just type in Sweden, it will not find, say, Sweden, right? Now, why Sweden is not found and why Paris is found is because both are different group. Okay. Now, what is the difference? Okay. So if let me search for Paris over here and see the type. Now, the Paris security group which we have created, the group type is security, right? And that's why that group is appearing over here. The moment I type in Sweden, a search for Sweden, it's a Microsoft 365 group. Now, here, as you see over here, uh, if I go into, say, this application, and if I type in Paris security group, it will appear. I'll just cancel this out. And if I type in Sweden, it will not find that. So that means it is not finding the Microsoft 365 group. However, we will be able to find the security group. So I'll just type in Paris, or I have another group called a Sec1, Sec2, Sec3. I can find that. Okay. Now I have this Paris security group over here. I have this group selected. Now what happens if I click on share? This entire application will be shared with the Paris security group. Okay. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm showing it to you. I'll just discard this again. I'll show you I have two applications. One is a Canvas and one is a model driven app. From a Canvas app perspective, if I click on share and if I type in Paris, I can see that Paris security group. I select this group and then I can make that group as a co-owner, or I can give some other data permissions. Okay, so I'll just select this Paris security group as a co-owner. I'll click on share. So this app is shared with a Paris security group, which we have just created. Similarly, for a model driven app, again, I'll do the same thing. I'll click on share, and I'll share it with Paris Security Group. Now, as you see over here, it says enter a name, email address, or group. Okay. Now, if I type in Sweden, I can see Sweden over here as well. Now, as I mentioned to you, Sweden was a Microsoft 365 group, right? Now Sweden is appearing in a, I'll just cancel this off and show you, it's in a model driven app. However, for Canvas app, when I typed in share and I typed in Sweden, it didn't come up. However, if I typed in Paris, it's a Paris has already appeared. So that means that's a difference. So from a Canvas app and from a model driven app perspective. Let's again go back to Canvas app, go to share, and then I will type in Paris, and I'll select Paris, and then I can assign a security role or a custom security role, or any other standard role which I want for that particular app to be with. So I'll click on share. So this is how you basically use a security group, security role, team, and then you assign the permission. However, that's a topic for another day. I just wanted to show you now. If you have already created that teams, so I've already created this team. I'm in Power Platform Admin Center. So if I type in the security role linked team, let me click on refresh. So if I go to settings, if I go to users permission and click on teams, so if I type in Paris, I don't see anything, right? Now, why I don't see anything? Because let me just again refresh and show it to you. It's taking a long. Yeah. So again, users, user permissions, go to teams, and it says all teams. Now, if I select Microsoft Enter ID security group, then it should show me this France team, right? Because we are searching for Paris, but there is no group called as Paris. Okay. So there is a team called as a France team. Okay. Now that's the difference. So we have created a team called as France team. If I go inside this France team, it is linked to a security group. Okay. This particular team is linked to a security group. However, when we were sharing model driven app, it was pointing to a security group and not to the team. Okay, so that's a difference. So again, I'll show you in model driven app when we did that sharing. Okay, now here you didn't see that team, you didn't see that France team over here because you cannot actually find this in the search box. Okay, you can find a security group. Okay, so you have created a security group, you can directly find it. So that's a difference. Okay, so you cannot find a team over here, you can find a group. I know it is a bit confusing, but then this is how the permission is done in Power Platform. Now, you're in France team, you see this interface, you can go ahead and add people to it. Okay. Now, the concept of adding people to this particular security group is you need to say, let me again search for, say, Paris. So, Paris is a security group. You go into the Paris security group and then go into the members, and then from here, you assign a member. So, I'm assigning a member to that particular group, and I can select Adele, I can select Alex. I'll click on select. Yeah. Now again, from a similar concept, you can do that for Microsoft 365 group as well, but we have now added two members over here. So let me go back to Power Platform Admin Center and go to the France team and say manage team members. Now the moment you go ahead and do that manage team members, you should be able to see the users belonging to this particular security group or a teams. Now, France team, it says user cannot be manually added or removed from this list. User need to be managed in appropriate security group, and that's what we have done over here, right? So we have added this users manually. Now, when this user will appear, the users from the security group will show up here only if they have logged into this environment once. Okay, so if I log in as Alex or Adele, so I have this users Alex and Adele. If they log into the system, then only they should be able to see the application. So I'll go into say one of the application, and I will log in as Adele. Okay, so let me pick up this application, so hospital application, and I'll show you the screen. So this is the screen. I'm logged in as Adele, and now I'm logging as Adele. Now Adele has permissions to this particular application, so it will ask me to sign in, and I'm now logged in as Adele. So this is how you basically log in as, say, as a specific user. So I've logged in as Adele. Now, if you go into this interface, Power Platform interface. And if you click on refresh, you can see that Adele's name has appeared over here. Now, Adele is already a part of France team, but her name was not visible in Power Platform because Adele has not logged in once. Okay. Similarly, when Alex logs into the application, then Alex's name will be visible. Okay. So don't get confused with this interface, because I know at one point you're seeing that France team, I see Adele, but if you go to Paris Security Group, which is a link to the France team, you're not able to see that user. It's because of that the user has not logged into the system. So user has to log into the system once for that user to be visible. Okay, so that's it, folks. This is how you basically assign a Power Platform team to a security group. Okay, now you cannot directly share model driven app or canvas app to a team. Okay, you can share a model driven app to a security group. However, the topic of this discussion was to create a team within Power Platform Admin Center and then link it with a security group. I know the concept is a bit confusing over here, because you have security group, you're linking security group with a team. However, you cannot share it with a team. You can share model driven app with the security group. However, you cannot share a canvas app. And this is how it works. So how the sharing of the permissions work is, security group, or like the team which you have created, which is linked to the security group, it has some sort of a security role assigned. Now, depending on the security role, if your application or the user has direct or indirect access to that security role, user will be granted a permission through that. So it is not a direct approach, but that an indirect way through which, if you have a privilege, then you will be able to access the application. So that's it, folks. Thanks for watching.